ladies, and welcome to the Beauty Shaman. So today we are talking with the incomparable Ben Fuchs, who is a pharmacist, a cosmetic chemist, a nutritionist, and the creator of Truth Treatment Skincare. And we are talking about one of my favorite subjects right now, sensitive skin. So thank you so much, Ben, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you again.
All right. So sensitive skin, that's a big subject right now because 65% of people in the United States, 65% say they have sensitive skin. Why? It wasn't like this 10 years ago.
First of all, let me tell you this. Human skin should not be sensitive.
Thank you.
It's designed to not be sensitive. It's designed to become a barrier or to be a barrier to the environment. So you should be able to put anything you want on your skin, on the stratum corneum. The stratum corneum is the surface of the skin, the barrier, right, and it's dead. It's made of dead cells. So you should be able to put anything you want on the stratum corneum. There should be nobody should ever have a problem putting products on their skin. However, the skin is also, in addition to being a protective organ, it also has an immune function. I should say, in addition to mechanically protecting the body, it also biochemically protects the body and is part of the immune system. Sensitive skin represents an immune reaction, a defensive reaction. Sensitive skin is the defensive skin. It's a hyper defensive skin. So ordinarily the skin provides for a defensive role or provides defensive properties.
Right.
But when you have sensitive skin, you're hyper defensive. And sensitive skin is really hypersensitive in the sense that you put things on and then you react with an immune reaction. The immune reactions in the skin show up as rashes, redness, inflammation, all of the itching, burning sometimes. All of these are signs that the skin immune functions are hyperactive or hyper-responsive. The reason this occurs is because, as we talked about earlier, when the stress system or the immune system is activated, it's activated systemically. The immune system that's activated in the skin only occurs, or for the most part occurs, when the immune system is activated systemically. There are local reactions that can happen, like if you get a bee sting or something like that. But for the most part, when you have a reaction, immune reaction on the skin, you have an immune reaction in the entire body. And the home of the immune system, the headquarters of the immune system, right? Skin is a satellite of the immune system, but the headquarters of the immune system is, guess where?
It's the gut.
The intestine, correct.
The intestines, yeah.
Well, it's all, the gut includes the stomach, and the stomach is involved because you can have intestinal problems following stomach problems. But yes, it's in the digestive, it's in the intestine. That's where the home of the immune system is, which really makes sense because the intestine is the crossover point into the bloodstream. Right. So you can think of the immune system as the border guards, and their job is to keep things from getting into the bloodstream inappropriately. Under ordinary circumstances, when things get into the bloodstream, they are vetted. Just like when you go to Canada or you go to Mexico or you go to Ecuador, you don't just run in Ecuador. There's border guards, and they ask you, what are you doing? Who are you? And what is your purpose here? And do you have any money? Blah, blah, blah. You know, they ask you questions. Well, and the same thing is in the intestine, except instead of border guards, you've got intestinal guards. And instead of asking you questions about what you're doing, they're looking to see if the molecules that are trying to get into the bloodstream are friendly or not, or necessary or not, or recognized or not. Over the course of time, as the bacterial flora, the population in the intestine becomes thrown off, holes can develop in the intestine. And we talked about this on an earlier video. We talked about dysbiosis, also these days more fashionably called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is dysbiosis, basically messed up gut bacteria, messed up intestinal bacteria or overgrowth of intestinal bacteria. What can occur when that happens is inflammation at the level of the intestinal lining, which allows things to leak through into the blood. When things leak through into the blood, that sets off a red alert in the body. Do you ever see that show Lost in Space?
Yeah.
When you were a kid? Remember that? Remember the robot? Remember the robot? The robot goes, danger, danger, danger.
Oh,
danger.
right. Yeah, okay.
Right? That's your immune system when things leak through. Danger, 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 and all kinds of biochemical red alerts and alarms and bells start going off, and eventually they will affect the skin, the immune system in the skin, and this is what causes the hypersensitivity in the skin. Leakage of toxins into the bloodstream via a condition called leaky gut syndrome, which follows, number one, dysbiosis, messed up gut bacteria, but it can also follow the ingestion of problem foods. And we find that sensitive skin patients oftentimes have food allergies and food intolerances, and oftentimes have other immune conditions like asthma or other skin immune conditions like eczema. Eczema is like a dramatic example of sensitive skin. All of this is associated with an activated immune system, either following a leaky gut or dysbiosis, or ingestion of the wrong foods, or both.
Right.
And there's also inflammatory reactions that can occur at the level of the intestine from the wrong foods, such as gluten from grains.
Right.
Or also, and this is very interesting, a lot of people don't recognize this, fried, processed, distorted fats.
Yes, absolutely.
Can also inflame the intestine.
Yeah.
So French fries and pizza and chicken wings and fried chicken, all these things that we eat that have the distorted fats in them, they can cause inflammation at the level of the intestine. See, we're talking about the intestine here, but the problem is in the skin, and that's the way the body is. And this is what accounts for our number one, our misunderstanding about how the skin works, and also our lack of success with our topical treatments, because we don't recognize the relationship between immunity and intestinal health and the cleanliness of the blood and the viability or the functionality of the skin. So work on intestinal health, number one.
Go ahead.
Avoid problem foods, number two. And there's a third thing I'll tell you about, but go ahead. What you were going to say?
So the point I was going to make is I had a session with a woman who was just having a lot of issues with sensitive skin. And I basically said, okay, are you ready to go off gluten? And she said, no, I'm not willing to do that. I just want a topical. And I said, that's not going to achieve what you want. You have to be willing, and not just go off gluten for a day or a week, but like 2 or 3 months, because it takes months to get this stuff out of your gut, out of your intestines. Would you agree with that?
Not only that, I don't agree with that, 100% accurate, but gluten is one of a class of thousands of compounds that are found in fruits and vegetables. So sometimes, and grains, sometimes people will say I'm gluten-free, but I still have a problem. They don't realize that they may be reacting to other compounds that are like gluten, that are found in gluten-free products. Not only that, but this condition that we talked about called SIBO or dysbiosis can be triggered by non-gluten containing foods that feed the bacteria basically sugars called FODMAPs. Have you heard of FODMAPs?
You've talked about it before, but say it again so people know what you're talking about.
There are sugars. FODMAPs is an acronym. It stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. All these are forms of sugar. And so avocados and pears and apples and bananas and anything that's a fruit or vegetable that has these sugars in them can feed the bacteria and further throw off the flora, further exacerbate dysbiosis or SIBO, and cause problems independent of gluten. So you may say I'm gluten-free, I'm just a vegetarian. All I'm eating is vegetables, but you maybe have a problem with avocados. Or you may have a problem with some other fruit or vegetable because of this FODMAPs connection, which is why you have to go by your specific issues. You can't go by good food, bad food lists, or the FODMAPs diet lists. You have to go by your particular problems. That's why food diary is so important. So the intestinal issue, the intestinal problem needs to be addressed. Also, I think I'm not sure if we talked about this with melasma when we talk about hyperpigmentation. The barrier is important. A weak barrier will make the skin more sensitive. So strengthening the barrier is important. There's a little bit of overlap there with SIBO, because SIBO and dysbiosis will weaken the barrier. So barrier issues, intestinal issues, and then full out nutritional deficiencies, particularly in fatty vitamins and in the B vitamins and in essential fatty acids, will also make the barrier more sensitive. And those are the three main reasons: intestinal issues, barrier issues, and nutritional deficiencies. Why? And when I say intestinal issues, think food. Food/intestinal issues, barrier issues, and flat out nutritional deficiencies. So what do you do? Well, first of all,
what do you do?
Digestive thing. Digestive thing is so important. Okay, food diary, eliminating problem foods, and there's a whole. We can do another video on how you deal with digestive problems, but it's very important to get to the bottom of the intestine, because listen, we're talking about skin here, Suzanne, but I'm a healthcare professional. I'm here to tell you Parkinson's disease, dementias, autoimmune diseases, interstitial cystitis, osteoporosis, inflammation of
all related,
all SIBO, all intestinal. So
that's right.
Getting to the intestine and working on the intestine is very important. Strengthening the barrier is important. We talked about it in another video. You can strengthen it with nutritional supplements. I'll tell you what those are in a moment. And then you can also strengthen it with things with topical strategies, but carefully. Because, it's like when you go to the gym, you don't start lifting 225 pounds all of a sudden because you want to get big and strong really fast. You start lifting slowly. You lift 100 pounds and then 120 pounds and then 150 pounds. And you build yourself up slowly. You don't go every day to the gym. You go every other day or every third day. Same with a barrier strengthening protocol. It's very similar to a muscle strengthening protocol. You start off with retinol and alpha hydroxy acid slowly. And maybe you start applying niacin. Topical niacin can help strengthen the barrier. Slowly see your esthetician. Your esthetician is trained in building and strengthening your skin barrier, as well as in helping you understand how you can treat your skin generically and in a general sense. So go see your esthetician, get regular peels, strengthen your skin barrier topically slowly. Slow and steady wins the race. And then third of all is great nutritional supplements, most especially the fatty vitamins. Vitamins D, E, A, and K, especially vitamin A, which obviously retinol and retinoic acid are topical versions of, but also internally vitamin A. One of the signs, by the way, of vitamin A deficiency, classic signs, is barrier defects and also skin cancers and acne and psoriasis and eczema. These all can be signs of vitamin A deficiency. And then also probably the most important barrier strengthening nutrient are the essential fatty acids, EFAs. I love Udo's blend. I like Longevity's ultimate EFAs and EFA plus. Whatever it is, essential fatty acids are important. Phospholipids are important. You can get phospholipids in lecithin granules or oil. Phospholipids are found in eggs. People have allergies to eggs. If that's the case, you'll have a problem. Organ meats are a good source of phospholipids. Grains have phospholipids in them. Beans have phospholipids in them as well. And then also niacin, vitamin B3 is a very important barrier strengthening nutrient.
Right. It's interesting. Everything you're talking about is so important that people look at the skin as it's a holistic issue. It's not just an external issue. And that's, I actually was asked to go on and speak to a group of women of about 200 about their skin. And so immediately I went into talking about now you're way more knowledgeable than I am. I was kind of in my realm of knowledge when it comes to this, although, I read all the time. In any case, afterwards, they said, you know what, we don't want you to talk about health. We're just here to talk about skin. And I was like, you can't separate the two. You can't say one is, you have to talk about, and they said, well, but we don't want to do any, I think getting your mind around that you have to actually do something different with your diet and with your nutritional supplements is a huge aspect.
That, because the skin, we give lip service to the fact that the skin is the body's largest organ, right?
Right.
It's an organ. Except it is, Suzanne, tell me what you think of this as a skincare professional. What do you think? Like me and you, we look at the skin, we have this picture of the layers and the dermis. Yeah. What do you think the average person thinks of when they think of the skin?
I think they don't realize that it actually is an organ. And it's sort of like, this is an external thing. And
Does this look like an organ? It doesn't look like an organ, right?
Right.
It's so misleading.
A switch in your head. That's exactly right.
Head. You have to switch it in your head to kind of think of it as an organ. And I know you and I have studied it for a long time, so it's in our second nature to us to see it that way. But to somebody who has not studied the skin or is just, a regular person going through their life trying to take care of their bodies, it's kind of a weird structure. And it requires, like you say, a switch in your head to actually see it like an organ and part of the body.
Absolutely. And what I love, though, about what you're talking about is all you have to do is start taking some essential fatty acids, omega-3s and 6s, super easy, an E, an A, a C, a vitamin B complex, maybe some magnesium tossed in there. I mean, you get yourself set up, zinc, you get yourself set up with some good supplements. You start using good external topical stuff and bam, I mean, the body loves it. You start giving the body nutrients and quickly it heals itself. It's really magical.
Yes, and lay off the fried fats. I forgot to mention one other really interesting detoxifier, one of the best detoxifiers for intestinal toxicity is fulvic minerals.
Yes.
For digestive toxicity, really, really important. So if you want to use our fulvic cellular complex, that would be great for anybody who has digestive issues. Really, fulvic minerals are great for everything, but especially detoxifying.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ben. This has been really enlightening and I really appreciate it. Ladies, if you have questions, please write down below. We always love to hear from you. We always respond. And thank you so much for joining us today on The Beauty Shaman.